All right, everybody, welcome in here to the Friday edition of Trending Politics Live. It is July 31st, everyone. The last day of July. We're about to enter into a new month. Crazy things are going on in this world. For those of you guys who do not know who I am, my name is Clayton Kearns. I help run TrendingPolitics.com. We have a lot of fun over here, guys. We are a conservative commentary website, and as you guys know, I go live here on Facebook and on YouTube every single day at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We've got a bunch of people rolling in here, and we got a lot of things to cover, everyone. So I want to welcome in every single one in here. Looks like we got Hawaii in the house. Looks like we got California in the house. Let me know where else you guys are commenting from, and we're going to get started right now. We are almost at 1,400 live in total, so I'm going to wait just another couple seconds while I get all these slides ready. But yeah, you guys, thank you guys so much. So, as you guys know, some crazy things have been going down in the world of politics over the last 72 hours, specifically the last 24 hours, where a bunch of Jeffrey Epstein files have been officially unsealed. Court documents unsealed. A lot of people have already know about this, but we're going to discuss things a little more, and I can't get into every single big revelation. We just don't have that kind of time. There's like 2,000 pages of this stuff, okay? So we're going to talk about a couple of the top topics, and we're going to roll into this, okay, guys? So let me give you guys, for any of those who don't know what went down last night, is the court documents were unsealed from Jeffrey Epstein's different cases, okay? So we got depositions, we got emails released last night. So again, guys, these mostly contain depositions in court cases. These are not, these haven't been 100% proven to be true, but a lot of us believe it to be true because some of the stuff here is things that have been talked about for a long time, okay? So we're going to really go over three things here. Number one, three things that we learned in the Jeffrey Epstein file dump. Number one is that President Trump's name has been cleared. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump's name has been cleared in these files. Number two, that in a deposition, they revealed Bill Clinton to have traveled to Epstein Island and engage in some activities, which we'll talk about. And number three, that the FBI had this kind of information in 2014. And guess what? They did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So we're going to get into the first revelation here, which is, let me find it. All right. So this is a deposition from a witness interview, okay? The victim was asked, when you say you asked him, why is Bill Clinton here? Where was here? The victim says, on the island. The questioner says, when you were present with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton on the island, who else was there? The victim says, Ghislaine Maxwell, Emmy, and there were two young girls that I could identify. I never really knew them well anyways. It was two girls from New York. But things get worse, people. And were all of you staying at Jeffrey's house on the island, including Bill Clinton? The victim says, that's correct. He had about 4 or 5 different villas on his island, separate from the main house. And we all stayed in the villas. Now, this next part, guys, if you have kids in the room, might want to cover their ears. So I'm going to give you a few second heads up. Okay, if you have children in the room, it's about to get real here in a second, okay? 3, 2, 1. Then the person asking the question says, were sexual orgies a regular occurrence on the island at Jeffrey's house? The victim says, yes, right there. So, this is a court deposition. Putting Bill Clinton on Epstein Island and engaging in certain types of activities, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So, what we learned from this here in a deposition under oath, someone was asked if Bill Clinton was at the island. They said yes. Were they at Jeffrey Epstein's house? Yes. And he was accompanied by young girls. Now, okay, to be totally fair, young, you could say young meaning 22, 23 or whatever, but I don't know. Compared to all the stuff that we've heard about minors, which we're about to hear, they could have been minors. We don't know. Now, a lot of you in the comments have asked, will Bill Clinton go to jail? And obviously, we all hope so. So what I need everyone to do in the comments below is give me a big all caps, lock him up. In the comments below, if you guys think that Bill Clinton deserves to be in prison, I need a huge lock him up. And hey, for a little bit of bonus points, if you think Hillary should be in jail, type below, lock her up. Hopefully, let's see what you guys think about all that, you guys. So we're going to keep getting into this. So that was one big revelation, okay? The next big revelation is that the FBI sat on this information about Epstein doing things with minors. They sat on this information for years and did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I see all the comments. Thank you. I'm glad that we're all in one accord here. So the FBI, so guys, by the way, if you're not following this account here on Twitter, you really need to be. Sorry, I'm getting my directions all mixed up. Right there. Technofog on Twitter is a very, very good follow for all this stuff. He has gone through all the documents and he's doing little summaries like this, okay? So Technofog says, this is big. The FBI was in contact with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's minor victim back in 2014, and they did nothing. I'm not sure if you guys can read this, but I'll read it to you. The FBI agent Jason Richards in 2014 and suggests that the plaintiff was in regular communication with him at various times, particularly mid-2014. So, what you're telling me is that the FBI had spoken to the minor victims of these people and nothing was done. But that's not all. Let's bring up the next one. So here's another tweet from Technofog. He says, heartbreaking. The minor victim was asking the FBI for the evidence, photos and videos, that they seized from Epstein. Why? So she could prosecute her civil case. Now, this text might be kind of small for you guys to read, so I'll read this to you. So this was the email from the victim to the FBI, okay? This email was sent on April 16th, 2014. I was wondering if you could remember, I was wondering if you would remember me from the Sydney consulate. I am a victim in the investigation from the Jeffrey Epstein case and was wondering if you could tell me if I would be able to get a hold of any of the pics and or videos that the FBI might have confiscated from any of Epstein's residences. Also, I ask if you might have any of the flight logs that include my name in them to be sent to me as well. It's all for evidential purposes and would help many things, and would provide many things to help my case. So, we now have two pieces of evidence that the FBI had information about Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Bill Clinton, and the things that went on truly in Epstein Island. This is no longer a conspiracy theory. And can someone remind me of something? I'm trying to think here. Who was the FBI director in 2014? I don't know if anyone can refresh my memory in the comments. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, it's our buddy James Comey. So wait a minute. Are you telling me that the FBI agents were in contact with minor victims from a billionaire who had big connections? And are you telling me that this man right here didn't know about it? Are you guys telling me that this guy right here didn't know about it? This is the same guy who framed General Flynn and made his life a living hell. The same guy who did that to General Flynn. He was the FBI director in 2014. If anyone wants to see James Comey under oath, then let me know in the comments below. Give me a big Comey must testify. If you guys want Comey to testify about what he knew and what he didn't, type in Comey must testify, because I want to know what he knew, when he knew it, when information was brought to his attention that there was potential sex trafficking going on Epstein Island. And you see, guys, like every time I say those words, Epstein Island, I still have that feeling of like, oh man, people might think that I'm, some sort of conspiracy theorist. Guys, this is no longer a conspiracy theory. This is now like that. We now see everything. We now see everything. So, what do you guys think? Comey must testify. All right, we got a whole lot of people agree. So, the final part of all this is that the left was hoping. They were licking their chops. They're like, oh my God, Trump was somewhat friendly with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, so his name is going to be in these documents. And guess what? They were in the documents, They were, and it's over. It's over. And by over, I mean President Trump's name has been cleared in this whole thing. Because trust me, if there was something negative about Trump in this, we would have already heard it. It would be the top news story of the day. So, this is a deposition. And they're asking questions. And they said, what is the basis for your statement that Donald Trump is a good friend of Jeffrey's? And they said, Jeffrey told me that Donald Trump is a good friend of his. Jeffrey told me that. And then the question was asked, did you ever observe them together? And she says, no. No, not that I can actually remember. I mean, not off the top of my head, no. And then she said, when did Donald Trump flirt with you? And the girl says, he did not. That's what's inaccurate. And then they said, did you ever see Donald Trump at Jeffrey Epstein's home? The person says, not that I can remember. Then they ask, on his island? Not that I can remember. In New Mexico? No, not that I can remember. In New York? No. So, anything that the left was trying to have on President Trump, they do not have it, people. They do not have it. So, what we've talked about so far is the fact that President Trump's name has been cleared. A deposition put Bill Clinton at Epstein's house on the island with two young girls. And number 3, the FBI had this information actually as early as 2011 and did nothing. Now, this is bad enough. This is bad enough. But here's where things get worse, people. I'm going to show you a chart of how the media has covered this so far. Just take a look at this, you guys. If there was negative stuff about Trump in here, do you think the scales would have been a little different? The far left media has not covered this at all. Left-leaning and a couple of websites, only the right is covering this. And we all know why. Because Bill Clinton, no matter how terrible of a human being he's been over the years, is adored by the left. And the media does not want to cover it. Of the Epstein file dump, this is what our media is looking like. The right is talking about it. The left is not. And we all know why. We all know why. Because there are very powerful people that are about to have the gauntlet laid down upon them. And the media doesn't want to talk about it until they absolutely have to. And it's disgraceful. So people, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, now I can't guarantee you that if you share something, it won't be taken down, okay? There are very powerful people in charge of these social media networks. I wouldn't be surprised if this live feed got cut out. But just be aware, like share this with people. Let people know what's going on in the world, okay, guys? Now, there's a lot more to cover on that, and we're going to be covering more stories as more documents get released on trendingpolitics.com. So make sure you're always going to trendingpolitics.com for that information. Also, Mike Cernovich, I got to give him a shout out. I do not agree with everything he says or does, but if you guys go to cernovich.com, he's got a bunch of stuff on there. Or if you guys are on Twitter, follow this guy, Technofog. Right there is his name. He's a really good follow for this kind of stuff, okay? All right, so I want to shift gears a little bit. And this morning, 911 should have been called in Washington, D.C., okay? Guys, I know that it might be early in the day for where you guys might be. I guess it's 3 p.m. Eastern. So look, this is a time to make some popcorn. Obviously don't go make popcorn, but time to get a bowl of popcorn or your favorite beverage or snack. And we're going to sit here for 5 minutes. I know it sounds like a long time, but we're going to sit here for 5 minutes and watch Jim Jordan absolutely tear into Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci should just quit after this, guys. Jim Jordan straight up said, look, what do you think about protests? And you can tell that Dr. Fauci doesn't want to answer the question. Well, I always advise to not be in large crowds. And Jim Jordan gives him the business. So get comfortable. We're going to sit here for 5 minutes and watch Jim Jordan annihilate this guy. Enjoy.
Fauci, let me ask you about some of the decisions that you worked with President Trump on, and the whole team did. I know when you...
Sorry, guys, that was the wrong clip, but I'm going to play a clip of Steve Scalise. I'm very sorry. I'm going to get you Jim Jordan clip in a minute, but while I'm getting that, here's Steve Scalise tearing into him.
Go back to the beginning of this. The China ban was very heavily discussed. Were you involved in working with President Trump on deciding to ban flights from China?
Yes, sir, I was.
Do you agree with that decision?
I do.
Do you think that decision saved lives, Dr. Fauci?
Yes, I do.
Do you agree with the decision when ultimately we saw spread in Europe, and then the president recommended that we extend that to Europe? Did you participate in that discussion?
I was actively involved in that discussion, sir.
Do you agree with that decision?
Yes, I do.
Do you think that decision saved lives?
Yes, I do.
Eventually, then, we saw the United Kingdom have an outbreak, and there had to be a tough decision made. Do we extend that to the United Kingdom? Were you part of that decision?
I was.
And do you agree with that decision as well?
I do.
Did that decision save lives?
Yes, it did.
When you look at the 15 days to slow the spread, initially it started at 15. Were you part of the decision to implement that decision?
I was very much involved in that.
Did that decision save lives, Dr. Fauci?
I believe it did.
Then when President Trump met with you and Dr. Birx to extend that another 30 days, do you agree with that decision that President Trump made to extend that?
Yes, I was very much involved, and I agree with it.
Did that decision save lives, Dr. Fauci?
I believe it did.
So I know we've heard a lot about disagreements. Clearly, there are many decisions made. In fact, there are many very internationally respected doctors that are involved in each of those decisions. Is that correct?
Yes.
By and large, would you say that you and President Trump have been in agreement on most of those decisions?
We were in agreement on virtually all of those.
I appreciate that.
All right, so guys, like I said, sorry that was the wrong clip, but it was still a clip I was going to play. I just had the clip switched around. So that was Steve Scalise basically asking, did the decisions made by President Trump save lives? And every single answer was yes on the part of Dr. Fauci. So now we're going to get it. So now, hopefully you guys made your popcorn, okay? It only takes a couple minutes in the microwave. Now we're going to watch Jim Jordan absolutely eviscerate Dr. Fauci. I will not keep you guys waiting any longer. Here we go.
Chair now recognizes for 5 minutes Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Fauci, do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Do protests increase the spread of the virus? I think I can make a general statement.
Well, 500,000 protesters on June 6th alone.
Yeah.
I'm just asking that number of people. Does
Yeah.
it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the spread of the virus.
Should we limit the protesting?
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we say limit the protesting?
Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to.
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus. I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Well, you make all kinds of recommendations. You,
No.
you make comments on dating, on baseball, on everything
No.
you can imagine. I'm just asking you, just said
Yeah.
that protests increase the spread.
No.
I'm just asking you, should we try to limit the protests?
No, I think I would leave that to people who have more of a position to do that. I can tell you.
Government
that-
stopping people from going to church, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
Last week in the Calvary Chapel case, 5 liberals on the Supreme Court said it was okay for Nevada to limit church services. Justice Gorsuch said it best. He said there's no world in which the Constitution permits Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting, over another, practicing your faith?
I'm not favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowds of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask, that induces the spread.
It's a simple question, Doctor. Should we limit the protests? Government is obviously limiting people going to church. And look, there's been no violence that I can see at church. I haven't seen people during a church service go out and harm police officers or burn buildings. But we know that, for 63 days, 9 weeks, it's been happening in Portland.
Right. Yeah.
Well, one night in Chicago, 49 officers were injured, but no limit to protests. But boy, you can't go to church on Sunday.
I don't know how many times I can answer that. I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm just going to tell you.
You've opined on a lot of things, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, but I've never.
This is something that directly impacts the spread of the virus, and I'm asking your position on the protest.
Yeah, I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm telling you what it is, the danger. And you can make your own conclusion about that. You should stay away from crowds, no matter where the crowds are.
Government has stopped people from going to work. In fact, just in New Jersey 4 days ago, Ian Smith, Frank Trombetta were arrested for trying to operate their business, their gym. They were arrested. But my bet is, if these two individuals who own this gym were outside just in front of their gym, and all the people who were working out in their gym were outside protesting, they'd been just fine. But because they were in the gym working out, actually running their business, they got arrested. You think that's okay?
I'm not going to opine on who gets arrested and who does not. You get where I'm going. I'm telling you, as a public health official, I say crowds.
Do you see the inconsistency, though, Dr. Fauci?
There's no inconsistency, Congressman.
So you're allowed to protest, millions of people on one day in crowds yelling, screaming, but you try to run your business, you get arrested? And if you stood right outside of that same business and protested, you wouldn't get arrested? You don't see an inconsistency there?
I don't understand what you're asking me as a public health official to opine on who should get arrested or not. That's not my position. You could ask it as much as you want,
advocated for
and I'm
certain
not gonna
businesses.
answer it.
You've advocated for certain businesses to be shut down. I'm just asking you on your position on the protest. I haven't seen one. We've heard a lot about hair salons. I haven't seen one hairstylist who, between haircuts, goes out and attacks police or sets something on fire. But we've seen all kinds of that stuff during protests, and we know the protests actually increase the spread of the virus. You've said that.
I said crowds. I didn't say specifically. I didn't say protests do anything.
So the protests don't increase the spread of the virus?
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
I just want an answer to the question. Do the protests increase the spread of the virus?
I don't have any scientific evidence that anything. I can tell you that crowds are known, particularly when you don't have a mask, to increase the acquisition and transmission. No matter what the crowd is. So you don't have a position on whether the protests increase the spread of the virus or don't increase the spread of the virus? I'm saying that crowds, wherever the crowds are, can give you an increased probability that there's going to be acquisition and transmission.
But do you understand Americans' concern? Protesting, particularly according to the Democrats, is just fine, but you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't go to church. There's limits placed on all three of those fundamental activities, First Amendment activities, but protesting is just fine.
The gentleman's time has expired, but I'll just ask the gentleman to just think about his question and put it in reference to crowd.
All right. So, guys, let's all take a minute. Round of applause. Round of applause for Jim Jordan, man. Oh my God. That was probably the most brutal takedown that I have ever seen on the floor. Oh my God. I mean, he basically looked him dead in the eyes and says, "Is protesting okay?" And people are saying in the comments, it's a simple effing question. Yes or no? And all he said is, "Well, I advise against crowds." He says, "I'm not going to opine on whether or not protesting is okay." And Jim Jordan says, "Well, you've opined on a lot of different things over the past few months." I mean, guys, if this doesn't expose where Fauci lies and who he's in bed with, where he stands on these issues, I don't think, Jim Jordan could not have been more clear. And guys, here's another big part, is that some First Amendment rights are being stripped and some aren't. Okay? The Jewish people of New York are not able to gather, but Bill de Blasio says, hey, we're going to let them protest by the tens of thousands because we're in a very special time right now. New York went as far as to chain up playgrounds in Jewish communities, people. But they will let Black Lives Matter protest, loot, and do whatever they want. Am I the only one that's not seeing this? I know you guys all agree with me, but sometimes things happen and I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like I'm absolutely going crazy here. Guys, all this built up frustration in us, this pent up frustration, this feeling that things are going crazy, we have to take this to the voting booth, people. We got to take it to the voting booth. The Democrats are looking at you right in the eyes, and they're saying, look, you can't go to church. We don't want you to go to church, but if you go on a protest for Black Lives Matter, that's okay. Protests are fine, but going to church is not okay. And you can't even vote. They don't want you to vote, people. Yesterday, Barack Obama used John Lewis's funeral to push for mail-in voting. We covered that yesterday. So let me get this straight. It's okay to protest with masks, and a lot of them aren't wearing masks, but it's okay to protest with masks by the tens of thousands, shoulder to shoulder, chanting and screaming things. But you can't be in a voting line 6 feet apart from each other with a mask on? Really? Really? That's what they're going with. That is how stupid the Democrats think we are, people. Do not let them win in November. Please do not give up the fight. We have that video clip posted to the Trending Politics Facebook page and the Trending Politics YouTube page. So if you guys want to see that clip again of Dr. Fauci getting absolutely eaten for lunch, then go to our Facebook page, go to our YouTube channel. Now, I want to finish off the week with this. Yesterday, guys, I covered how Barack Obama got political during the John Lewis speech. Well, if you thought him pushing for mail-in voting was bad, that's not all. He also took a shot at our law enforcement. So, during a man's funeral, as he's giving a speech, eulogy, Barack Obama decided that that was a good time to take a shot at our police force and our law enforcement. I got deja vu for a second because I felt like he was president again. You guys all remember when he was trashing the cops, calling them idiots for the way they handled certain situations? He was no friend of the police, and he is still no friend of the police. Watch how he frames what he's about to say. He's literally about to say that cops are just tear gassing peaceful protesters. Notice how he doesn't mention the people that are throwing Molotov cocktails at the police, having fireworks explode in groups of police, and burning down courthouses. Watch this. Just watch.
But today, we witness with our own eyes police officers kneeling on the necks of Black Americans.
Nobody disagrees that that's bad, okay? Come on, everybody knows that's bad.
George Wallace may be gone, but
watch this.
We can witness our federal government sending agents to use tear gas and batons against peaceful demonstrators.
So there you have it. During a eulogy, Barack Obama said, and he made it sound like, oh yeah, these people are just sitting on the ground peacefully, not doing a damn thing, and they're just going in with tear gas. Really? Really? That's where you're going with. And you know what the worst part is? The audience. Yeah, it's terrible. But he doesn't mention the riots. He doesn't mention the looting. He doesn't mention the federal courthouse is on fire. He doesn't mention the people being assaulted in the streets, approaching vehicles with AK-47s. Okay? Why didn't Obama talk about that? Why didn't it? Because he knew that the crowd would not be on his side. So Barack Obama is still attacking the police force just as much as he did when he was president. It's absolutely despicable. One of the most disgusting things that I've ever seen. And it's ridiculous, you guys. So a couple things before we leave, guys. As we talked about earlier, everybody, Burnell Trammell is a 60-year-old Trump supporter who was killed in Milwaukee a little over a week ago. They still, sadly, have not found the suspect. They're doing an investigation, but I will keep you updated with that. However, guys, go on Google, go on trendingpolitics.com. We have a GoFundMe, a few pages down for Burnell Trammell. We didn't start it. It's a local thing, so go give to that. Another thing, you guys, just to have a great weekend, always make sure you're following us, trendingpolitics.com. And if you guys don't like being censored, if you like reading political news that doesn't get censored at all, once a month, we here at trendingpolitics.com, we do a literal physical newsletter. Now, trust me, when I tell you this, we can say whatever we want in here. Okay, now we don't go crazy, but we say things that when we post on Facebook, we're like, oh man, that'll probably get taken down. But here, there is no censorship. If you guys, now we're just about to mail out our August edition. It's July 31st right now, guys. So if you guys want to get on the newsletter, it's a small monthly paid subscription. TPnewsletter.com, where are we at? Right there. TPnewsletter.com, once a month. And people love collecting these things as well, because this is the last time that President Trump's ever going to be able to run for president. So, hey, have them, put them on a shelf and read through them so you guys can relive all the history we're going through, because we talk about current events. And again, Facebook can't censor this. Google can't censor this, okay? So the printed word is what we're using as well. Obviously, we got our website. Download our Trending Politics app, you guys. If you guys all have, I know all of you guys have a smartphone, so let me bring it up here. We have our Trending Politics app, okay? And it's got news right there at the top, videos. It's got great offers at our store. Make sure to download that app. Just go into the App Store and type in Trending Politics. It will pop up. Got a lot of great reviews. Everybody, I can't appreciate you guys more. All week we've been here. I thought I was going to take a break today, but the Epstein files dropped, Obama trashed cops, and then Jim Jordan eviscerated Dr. Fauci, and I knew I had to talk to you guys. So I still think I'm going to be doing these every single day, you guys. I have way too much fun. I'm going to be getting more help for people to help me set up with all this. But you guys, I appreciate every single one of you guys for being around. You guys all have an amazing, amazing weekend, you guys. Again, my name is Clayton Kearns. If you guys want more content every single day, trendingpolitics.com. I'm still figuring out the positioning here. Trendingpolitics.com is where to go, you guys, okay? Everybody have a very safe weekend. Have a very fun weekend. Enjoy time with your family. And I will be talking with you guys on Monday. That will be August 2nd or 3rd and 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You guys have an amazing day. I will be talking to you guys all